The PlayStation 4 had so many great games in 2017, but with so many great games, that also means that a lot of games did not receive the attention that they deserved. In this video, we want to highlight 10 amazing PlayStation 4 games that you probably missed out on in 2017. Let's get right into this. Gravity Rush 2. Gravity Rush 2 was the follow-up to Gravity Rush, a game that was originally released on the PlayStation Vita, and being released on the PlayStation Vita obviously limited its overall potential, but it was re-released onto the PlayStation 4 in the form of Gravity Rush Remastered, and Gravity Rush 2 was a sequel built ground up for the PlayStation 4. The hope this time around was a release on the PlayStation 4 with a larger user base. Maybe Gravity Rush 2 could garner some traction, and unfortunately it didn't really see that commercial success. However, Gravity Rush 2 is a phenomenal game. This is everything a sequel should be, and it was built on a much more powerful platform, so that's to be expected. You've got a lot more content, better visuals, better gameplay. The storytelling was even better, and aesthetically, Gravity Rush was already amazing, and Gravity Rush 2 just made it better. You could make a legitimate argument that Gravity Rush 2 is among the top 3 PlayStation 4 exclusives. If you haven't played it, please do so. Nex Machina. Nex Machina was a shoot-'em-up developed and published by Housemarque. Housemarque is one of the most talented and underrated studios in the world today. They've crafted excellent PlayStation downloadable titles such as Super Stardust HD, Dead Nation, Resogun, and Nex Machina. If you're a fan of shoot-'em-ups, Nex Machina is an extremely stylistic game, and these are the types of games that Housemarque excels at crafting. It's a downloadable title, so it comes out very cheap, and it's been on sale several times already. If you've played the previous Housemarque titles, Nex Machina will be right up your alley. From one Housemarque title to another, next up is Matterfall. Matterfall is a side-scrolling shooter with platforming elements, and the game is set on a futuristic science fiction world that has been infected by an alien material known as smart matter. You take control of a character that dons an armored battlesuit, and he can jump, dodge, and blast aliens. Matterfall is an action-packed game, and the only thing that's really holding it back is the length. This is a very short game, and you can complete it rather quickly. Still, the hours that you spend on this game are wonderful, and it's still very much worth a play. Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is a single-player adventure game developed by Infinite Fall, a studio founded by game designer Alec Halka and animator-illustrator Scott Benson. It's a story-focused exploration game that was funded with the help of Kickstarter, and it exceeded over 400% of its original $50,000 funding goal. It's a very story-driven game. It definitely doesn't have any revolutionizing gameplay, but these story-driven experiences have become more and more popular throughout the years. Unfortunately, Night in the Woods didn't garner much attention, but it is a great narrative-focused game. What Remains of Edith Finch? What Remains of Edith Finch is an adventure game developed by Giant Sparrow. Once again, Giant Sparrow, not the most well-known studio in the world, but they created another excellent game in the unfinished Swan. That game was released on the PlayStation 3, later ported to the PS Vita and PS4, and What Remains of Edith Finch thematically is kind of similar. It's a story-focused drama with first-person gameplay. You play as a young woman revisiting her old family home as she recalls or discovers the story of deceased family members. Once again, this is a game with a very strong story and presentation style, and a game that's definitely worth a look.
We made it real. But it had to end one way or another.
Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0, much like Gravity Rush 2, is one of the best PlayStation 4 exclusives, but it's a part of a long-running series that hasn't garnered much fame over here in the States, but Sega is trying to change that. They released Yakuza 0 earlier this year, they released Yakuza Kiwami back in August, and back in January they brought out Yakuza 0 stateside, and this is a prequel to the very first Yakuza game, and it's a terrific game and a great entry point for newcomers of the franchise. Many will draw resemblance from Yakuza to Grand Theft Auto, and I can see why, but Yakuza is more of a contained experience, and it's got a more mature story that's a little bit more serious. Gameplay-wise, it's very strong, and it's got varied content that keeps the experience engaging, and it's a relatively lengthy experience. If you've yet to check out Yakuza, definitely do so with Yakuza 0, and by the way, Yakuza 6 is also releasing next year, so you'll have that to look forward to as well. Zero Escape, the Nonary games. Zero Escape is a visual novel series, and visual novels still haven't really found their footing over here in the States. They're a big fixture in Japan, but stateside it is more of a niche genre, but you do have experiences such as Danganronpa and Zero Escape that are very much quality. Zero Escape, the Nonary games bundles 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors, and it also includes Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. These two titles are very good story-driven games, and the game follows a group of 9 individuals who are kidnapped and held captive by a person who goes by the name of Zero. They're forced to play a game of life and death in order to escape, and the gameplay is divided into 2 sections. A novel section where the game's stories are presented, and an escape section where the player solves puzzles and escape the room scenario. It's not entirely just a story-based game, but that is a big element. It does have quality puzzle-based gameplay, and these are games I'm sure some of you guys don't even know exist. It's a great franchise, and there was a 3rd game released in the series called Zero Time Dilemma. That game was great as well, but first check out Zero Escape, the Nonary games collection. Pyre. Pyre was developed by Supergiant Games, an indie studio that has put out some fantastic games including Bastion and Transistor. Pyre was their most recent game, and it takes place in a high fantasy setting. You play as a character who has been exiled from society and quickly meets 3 other exiles. The 3 exiles discover that the main character is literate and invites them to join their party, nicknaming them the Reader. It's a very artistic RPG, and much like Supergiant's other games, it's presented in a very unique style, and the story is told through narrative passages that include a hyperlink type system used by the main character to explore the story further. If you played Bastion or Transistor and you enjoyed those games, Pyre is once again another great game created by Supergiant Games, and they are quickly becoming one of the top studios in the industry.
Face your foes.
Cameras.
Gain enlightenment. Who goes free? Who remains?
Pillars of Eternity, the Complete Edition. Pillars of Eternity, the Complete Edition didn't garner much attention, maybe because it was originally a PC game that was released earlier on, and then it came over to the PlayStation 4, whatever the case may be. Regardless, Pillars of Eternity is a fantastic old-school RPG. It's got so much content to it, and maybe at face value, it's not the most technically impressive game in the world, but once you start playing Pillars of Eternity, you will be absolutely absorbed into the world, and it's a very nostalgic game for those of you that played older RPGs. And it was developed by Obsidian, the guys that did Fallout New Vegas, as well as South Park: The Stick of Truth, so you know they've got a talented team behind them. The Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition also includes the expansions, the White March Part 1, as well as the White March Part 2, so that's gonna add even more content. Definitely check out Pillars of Eternity, the Complete Edition, if you want an RPG that's a little bit different than a lot of the other RPGs that console gamers are used to.
After we stopped him, a whole generation came out wrong. This is our punishment. It's no way to teach a lesson. If it's something else, maybe we can stop it too.
And finally, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. From one game that was released first on PC to another, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is another fantastic game, and it's patterned after the Commando-style games. It's a real-time tactics game with an emphasis on stealth. You command a squad of up to 5 players and must infiltrate heavily guarded enemy compounds. Each enemy guard has a cone of vision, which the player characters must evade. This was another game that critically was received very well, but on consoles, it didn't seem to get much attention. Once again, this isn't the type of game console gamers are usually used to, but if you have an open-minded, if you want a different kind of experience, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is a terrific game with a lot of content just like Pillars of Eternity. Also, visually, this is a really good looking game. The environments in the game are incredibly detailed, and the presentation is top-notch. Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is going to be one of those games that a couple years down the line, everybody is going to totally forget about, so make sure you check it out. It was one of the better games of 2017. So that wraps up 10 awesome PlayStation 4 games that you probably missed out on in 2017. What do you think? Is there a game that we forgot to mention? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.